Hello everybody, my name is Chris and this is a review of the Jackson Concept Rhoads RR24 FRH. First of all, a shout out to the Bodom Gear Collection and Sales group on Facebook. I promised everyone there that I would do this review. I've never done anything like a guitar review before, so if this is super awkward, then it probably is because of me. It most certainly is because of me. Secondly, this is not a sponsored video. Jackson is not involved in this. I purchased this guitar from Toman as a B-stock unit. In fact, if you look up the Bodom Facebook group that I just mentioned, you can see me and the previous owner talk about why he sent it back and how I got it. Now, in the review, I will focus mostly, it will be a subjective review, and I will focus on how the guitar feels to me. I will put up the specs, like all the materials that were being used and where the guitar was made on the screen, but for me personally, not all the time that justifies how a guitar feels or plays. So I'm going to use very subjective language and very descriptive language and try to give you an idea of how the guitar feels when you play it and if it's something that you would want to buy yourself. I will also compare it to the LTD Alexi-600, which is probably a guitar that many of the Bodom fans already own and can kind of compare it to. So for the sound demos, I'll be using the Neural DSP Archetype Nolly X plugin. Unfortunately, I can't utilize my amp in my apartment because of the sheer volume and not wanting to get evicted. I hope that's alright with you. Now, especially in terms of the gain boost, which I'll talk about in a minute, it's weird to use in digital setups because the interface just starts to clip if you're not careful, and yeah, that's not a good sign if you see everything glowing red all of a sudden. So I'll keep a lot of headroom and try to adjust accordingly the input gain and all that. If you have any questions about the settings that I'm using or anything, just let me know in the comments and I will gladly write everything down or whatever. First of all, very short, the specs. Like I said, I won't go into much detail. I'm more interested in how the guitar feels and plays, like I said. So I've heard a lot of bad things about Jackson quality control, which I cannot confirm. Like I wrote in the original post that I did on the Facebook group that I got it out of the hard case, soft case thingy, and it was immediately ready to play. So I didn't find anything in terms of like overall quality control issues, like in regards to how it feels. There are no sharp edges, no sharp fret edges. Everything was set up fine. The tuners are very smooth. The pots run smooth. No crackle, no noise, no nothing. The belt pins are super tight. So really, there's nothing to complain about. In regards to the finish, I found one tiny complaint, and that is that the pinstripes down here, they pretty much don't close all the way. So there's the slightest bit of black color that can be seen between the two white stripes where they meet. Something that is being discussed fairly often is the streaking in the ebony fretboard, and this seems to be a thing that is more and more common in Jackson guitars. Now, I can see why people wouldn't want their fretboard to be streaky. I will include close-ups of this issue, if you will. So pretty much in the dark, in the overall very dark fingerboard, you can see lighter areas where the wood is considerably more brown than black. Now, with this guitar, I think I got super lucky because it looks freaking cool, if you ask me, because it's very wavy and it almost looks intentional. Now, like I said, I can totally understand why people would not want that in a guitar, and to be fair, the Alexi-600 that I own is pitch black, and that looks fucking cool as well. But here I'm not bothered. So next up is the Floyd 1000 tremolo that is non-recessed but rather top-mounted, which is a weird thing if you're used to the regular recessed Floyd tremolo, because of course you can't pull it up that far, and depending on how high your action is set, that pull-up movement can be a bit longer or shorter. Now, when I posted my very first original impression in the Bodom Facebook group, I said that I was able to pretty much pull up a major third. But when I adjusted the action, that interval went considerably down. So now I'm down to pretty much just a full step, or maybe, I don't know, a couple of cents above a full step, which is alright. I mean, it doesn't bother me too much, and if there were two versions of this guitar, one with a recessed Floyd and one with a top-mounted Floyd, I would probably go for the recessed one, just because I'm so used to it. But in the end, it's fine, and I think it's not really something that should be considered a fault or anything. This is a Floyd 1000, by the way, so not the top-line product of Floyd Rose. I do own two original Floyd Roses, another guitar, and one Floyd 1000, and there's nothing to complain about with this one. At first, it had a bit of a rattle in the bar that even when you like screwed it in very tight, you could hear a bit of a rattle, but that went away after a couple of hours of playing, so I don't know, it just kind of set itself, I think, and I had no issues with it. Like, the screws are super smooth, it stays in tune after a million dive bombs. So that's alright. It flutters, it does everything it's supposed to do. So this guitar comes with a single pickup, which is the EMG 81, the active pickup that you either love or fucking hate. Personally, I love it, and I have it in a variety of guitars, and it never disappointed me, to be honest. So if you're looking for the original Alexi sound from the Jackson era, like Something Wild, Hatebreeder, Follow the Reaper, and Hate Crew Death Roll, then this is not the right pickup. Now, in the Bodom Gear Collection and Sales forum, there are a lot of people who actively try to rebuild the man's rig, and I really respect that, and I think it's a labor of love, and it's fucking cool, because some of the like preamps that he used and different amps over the years, they're not even like being made anymore, and they hunt for them online. And I think that's super fucking cool. Probably costs a lot of money and time, but yeah, I'm sure it's worth in the end if you're looking for his sound. If you're going for that, the 81 is probably the wrong choice, because he used to have this Jackson pickup. I don't even know the correct model for that now. And then there's the preamp in the guitar with pretty much the frequency boosted that makes it almost sound cocked wash. And later he switched, of course, to the EMG, is it HZ or H2, again with the MM something boost, MM04. See how good of a Children of Bodom fan I am. But yeah, this does not have that sound. The preamp, however, that is built into this is the EMG Afterburner, which is a clean boost, and that is a bit of a weird choice for an active pickup. Now, I've seen loads of comments of people complaining about how that is a downright stupid and insane decision, where I'm like, not really, because like people go, if you have an 81, that's pretty much super compressed and high gain all the time. But it really isn't if you don't want it to be. So if you're playing in a, maybe just go for classic rock. I mean, how about Ozzy Osbourne, right? If you want to use the 81 pickup just for its general like sound capabilities, and don't put your amp or distortion pedal on full blast, you still have the boost to then give your guitar an extra push for a solo. So I don't think it's a weird, like it's maybe an unusual choice or uncommon, but it's not an insane or stupid decision to put an Afterburner next to an 81. And in fact, what I found you can do with this, and it is pretty fucking cool, you can pretty much push your guitar into almost endless sustain. Now, I think this has something stupid like 20 dBs of clean boost or something. So, of course, the noise floor gets a lot louder when you activate it on full blast. But I'm gonna show you in a second like how long your sustain gets. I'm not sure how often I will use this on stage, but for the moments where I just want to keep that note going and be the cool guy, that's a fucking awesome thing. The neck on this guitar is very thin, very flat. It has a compound radius, the fingerboard, so this is what you usually would consider a shred neck. If you're into that stuff, this is perfect. Like, it really compares to maybe an Ibanez Wizard neck. If you compare it to LTDs and ESPs or E2s, however, that's a whole different thing. Which brings me to pretty much the probably most important part of this video. How does it compare to an actual Alexi signature model? Now, the only model that I can compare it to is the Alexi-600, the white one with the black pinstripes and the sawtooth inlays. Mine's the 2008 model, pretty much the only version that came with a blackout, a Seymour Duncan blackout installed, and silver hardware. Now, the original silver Floyd Rose 1000 that came with it, I swapped out for a black original because I think it just looks cooler. So how does it compare to this one? Honestly, it doesn't. Like, they are so different in pretty much just every aspect. Of course, they both have pretty much this shape, except for a couple of exceptions with the lower horn and stuff. But to play them it's so different. Like, you shouldn't compare them. You should like treat them as two very different kinds of instruments or electric guitars, and you pretty much have to decide what is it you're looking for. Like I said, pretty much the most important thing is the neck. This is super thin and very fast. Now, the LTDs are already more rounder and thicker, and you can really feel that you have something in your hand, like more in your hand than when you pick this up. And from what I've heard, now I've never had an Edwards or an E2 or a custom shop Alexi model, but they are even thicker. Or rounder. I can compare it to an E2 FRX that I own, which does have the 305mm fretboard radius in comparison to the 350 fretboard radius of LTDs, and everything feels rounder, and some people compare it to baseball bats. So if you don't like round necks, then this will probably be the better choice for you. Like, it really it feels so different to pick up the 600 after playing this. And I wouldn't say it's better or worse, like not at all, it's just different. Overall, the 600 feels a lot more round, and I'm gonna use very subjective language now, but it feels more tame. It's rounder, it's warmer. There's more wood in the neck, and you can feel that it resonates more and all that. Overall, the guitar is heavier. It sits different because of the lower horn, because the LTDs have the longer lower horn, which actually makes it more comfortable to play when sitting down, at least for me. I'm a bigger guy, and to have the more sturdy guitar in my lap makes it a bit more comfortable to play. That being said, the Jackson feels a lot more aggressive, and I mean, I know that's a fucking dumb word for a guitar, but it has more attack. Maybe it's the lack of like low-end resonance that comes from not being as woody, but but when I'm picking this up and start playing, it feels snappier. It feels like something aggressive, something that you would even use to play black metal stuff, or I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but yeah, when you're trying to decide if you should go for an Alexi-600 or maybe even an Edwards or something, or the Rhoads, and you can't play them because a store doesn't have every model in stock, just try to figure out if you want something that is slicker, and I'm not saying faster, but just slicker and thinner and feels more spiky, or if you need something that weighs more, that is a bit rounder, and overall feels like as if you have more in your hand. Now, in conclusion, the Jackson RR24 FRH is a pretty fucking cool guitar, I have to admit. Like, overall, it's just what I said earlier. It feels very aggressive. So if you're a Bodom fan and don't like, or if you're after the feeling of the first few albums or just the look, just go for it. I mean, it isn't cheap. It is kind of expensive, but like, what isn't these days, right? It feels very different compared to this. I love them both, and I just think they have different applications. And I will choose either of them depending on the situation. Maybe put this one in drop C, maybe this one right now is in standard D. Well, they both are, in fact, to compare them. But yeah, you could do stuff like this is your more modern bottom, more modern bottom guitar, and this is the old school Follow the Reaper guitar or whatever. So wonderful instrument. Looks fucking awesome, and I will do a proper demonstration video like I did with this one. If you're interested, check out the channel. There's also demonstrations of Ibanez's and the ESP E2 FRX. And if this review was kind of helpful, let me know. If you have questions, I'll be glad to answer them. And if this wasn't super fucking awkward, let me know if I should do more reviews, maybe on this, maybe on the FRX. Yeah, let me know what you want to see or hear. Thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.